I'm Adam, and I'm here with Alan and Bob from Great Big Sea. How's it going, guys?
Hello, it's good.
Hey, Adam.
Now, first of all, congratulations on, what is it, almost 20 years?
Well, it's about 20 years this week that I first chatted to Sean and Bob about making a band. They wanted to start a new band, and they asked me to be in it. And yeah, our first gig was in 1993. So 2013 is our 20th anniversary year, and this record's coming out to celebrate the whole thing.
When you started out, was there a discussion? Did you make a plan about what kind of music you were going to make?
Well, myself and Sean McCann and Darryl Power, the original bass player, had played in pub bands for 5 or 6 years together before that, even going back to when we were in high school. And we always played traditional music, in various forms, and sort of the traditional Newfoundland music and folk songs from England and Ireland. But we'd seen bands like the Rankin Family and the Barry McNeils and Rita McNeil coming out of Atlantic Canada, doing their own take on, their own kind of indigenous music. And we thought, what, if we found the right group of guys and we combined, these Newfoundland songs that are so good in the right package with some original music, we had the right singer, then we could, this could really be something. We could turn into a national act. We could be as big as the Rankin Family. That was literally as far as we thought ahead. And then we met Alan, and he was the right guy.
Oh, there you go. And has it ever been difficult to reconcile your inclinations to make, contemporary pop or rock music with your obvious love of, and I would guess loyalty to, cultural traditions, traditional folk?
It's never been like a cross that we bear or anything. It's really been an honest combination of our influences. I think because we loved traditional music growing up in the different parts of Newfoundland that we're from, but then we were also kids in the '80s, and different influences, whether it was British punk or '80s hair metal or singer-songwriter stuff. It all kind of made its way in there, kind of organically. But I mean, I think the thing I've heard Bob say more than once is, speaking about how our music wasn't based in blues or rock, it ended up being based in the thing we learned first, which was traditional music.
Well, I mean, we actually had a model, we had an idea in mind. It's like if we take the rhythms and the instruments of Newfoundland traditional music, the button accordion and the fiddle and the tin whistles and the bodhrán, and then we combine that with pop music, we'd have a really interesting thing that would be really different. Plus, we had this repertoire. We had Newfoundland songs and Newfoundland instrumental music that didn't exist anywhere else. So we weren't just kind of playing Irish music or Scottish music or kind of pretending to be something we weren't. We had this really authentic idea. And we've never been afraid, though, of bringing in any influence from anywhere, really. And we've collaborated with so many different people over the years. Our goal is to make really interesting music. And, we are Great Big Sea at this stage. I think we kind of embody the traditions. And so it's not hard to find ways to make those two things work together.
I think Great Big Sea's music has been for a lot of people, it's been their first exposure to Newfoundland culture. Do you feel like ambassadors?
Well, we didn't set out to be, but you're right. I mean, just by default, over the the last 20 years, just from the sort of popularity or just consistency of the band, we've often, for better or worse, been people's first impression of where we're from. And it's not a thing that we set out to be ambassadors or tour guides for Newfoundland necessarily, but we just so happen to like where we're from, and we're only happy to talk about it when we get there, if someone asks. And it's been a wonderful thing to sort of, in retrospect or in hindsight, to have been sort of thanked or appreciated for introducing people to Newfoundland, if we've done that. And it's sort of a byproduct of our career that we didn't see coming, yet we're certainly grateful to have had a part in.
Cool. So the 20 box set compilation, how did you approach picking songs from your catalog? What songs to pick?
We had all these different ideas of how we would do it, actually, what songs were singles to radio or which were the songs we made videos for. But it came down to a little bit of all those things, because a lot of the folk music was, wasn't played on the radio, or we didn't make videos for it. On the other hand, it's songs that the audience, won't let us go home unless we play. So it was a combination of songs that we love, songs that have been very successful commercially, and then songs that the audience love. And the hard part actually wasn't choosing them, it was which ones we were going to eliminate.
And the 2-disc version is divided into folk and pop, or pop and folk?
Yeah.
do you see every Great Big Sea song as fitting into one category or the other?
No, and that was a hard. Your point is a good question because you're pointing out a hard thing. There's a couple of the ones that live on the folk disc that I've always considered to be pop songs, and a couple of the ones that live on the, and vice versa. For me, they've always been Great Big Sea songs, and they've been categorized differently by different people, which is fine with me too. But it was a bit of a struggle to kind of define. Well, our song called "Going Up." Well, we wrote it, so it's a pop song, I guess. But it's really founded in button accordion, what makes it really, really folky. We don't know. So we kind of just I don't know if arbitrary is a fair word, but
I think it is a bit arbitrary, but it was everything we do to some degree is touched by folk music. But we figured we had to kind of draw the line somewhere and create some sort of sense to the whole thing, and. I'm happy with it. I mean, it's not. It could have been 60 songs, or it could have been 10. Every fan would have done a different record. But this is true to the stuff that we really like, and I think it speaks also to the stuff that the fans like.
Right. I mean, reading the track list, it looks like a Great Big Sea concert set list.
Yeah, it's funny. Over the years, we sort of discovered that we really, really write and rearrange songs for concerts more than for records. I think we've always been a concert band. And more than a recording band, and when we look at the collection of music that's on the box set, it kind of reflects it. It looks like a great set list for a concert to me.
Oh, makes sense. No, a lot of greatest hits or just compilation retrospective albums, bands will put it out with one new song, usually a cover or sometimes a cover song, just to get the fans who already have everything else to buy it. There's 6 new Great Big Sea tracks on it. Was that just everything put on record?
It was just, we sort of had a few ideas for songs we wanted to work on, and so we thought it would be great if they made it onto this record. And so, like a couple of new pop songs, there's a cover on there, a little traditional. We sort of wanted one from every kind of genre, sort of subgenre of music that we were doing. But when you consider the stuff that's on the Rogue Waves disc, there's actually a lot more than 6 new things, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, the box set contains a 3rd disc, which is a bunch of B-sides and also rans and demos and weird kind of live bits. And a ton of that was never heard before anywhere, and a lot of it too was done earlier in the era of the band when, the internet wasn't out there to kind of spread stuff around. So if you buy the full package, you're going to get just a ton of Great Big Sea music and lots of new stuff, but things too that recorded in 1993 that have never seen the light of day. And I think the combination of it is fascinating certainly for me, and I can't imagine it wouldn't be for our fans.
Now, I started off asking you, when you formed the band, could you have imagined 20 years later going strong? So I'm going to end now by asking you, another 20 years, what do you see?
We got at it from the beginning to have a band for a lifetime. We didn't start playing in this band so we could have the best summer of our lives or have the biggest single in the world and then retire. We got it because we liked to play concerts, and man, nothing would do my heart good more than to be sitting here with 4 X's on a box set doing it.
You're going to skip the triple X.
I'll skip the triple X for obvious reasons.
Good idea.
And then maybe we'll do a 29 year and a 31 year or something like that. Yeah, man. Thanks so much for this.
Thank you, Al.
Appreciate it.
Great to meet you.
Thank you.
Bob?
Thank you, sir.
Thanks.